Hey, what's up? Welcome back to the GrindWorks podcast. I think I'm just going to roll with the not recording intros at the moment, and I'm not going to mention which number podcast this is because, one, it doesn't really matter, and two, I have one recorded from before this, so I don't know what one's going up first. Or if I even do that one. It's currently live on Different Spokes podcast with Matt Smith, or the Yeah, if you don't follow that podcast. But it's going to be a split cast. I had some recording difficulty on my end, so I don't know what I'm doing with it yet. Anyway, today we're here with Sam Weber, or Sam from Mexico, as everyone may know him on Instagram. Or in life. Does everyone just call you by your Instagram handle at this point?
Over the years, I've introduced myself as Sam from Mexico. I don't know why, other than it's really interesting when you say you're from Mexico, the reaction people give you. And when I talk Mexico, not the country, New York, it's 2 hours north of the FBM crew. In the middle of nowhere, we have snowmobile country and salmon fishing. World-class salmon fishing. And yeah, I run a dairy farm. I am not a BMXer. I am a lifetime BMXer, but I'm not a current BMXer. I broke my back 15 years ago, and it changed my world. I enjoy BMX as purely entertainment now, and fun, and exercise, which leads you in a whole different world when you're riding bike. I've started going to events, lots and lots of events, and that's what I do. I go to events and cruise. So, yeah, I am Sam.
What's your, I think we can pretty much skip through a lot of it, maybe, unless you got a lot of backstory, but, where do you come in riding BMX? Not necessarily, started jumping off curb stuff, whatever, but, era-wise, what is your era of BMX, and then, how long were you, I would say, because you said you're not a BMXer, so...
I can give you a little hint into my world. I started riding BMX in 1986, in November. Todd Anderson was on the cover of BMX Plus. And I have been... Then... I was more of a part-time BMXer. My father had a farm, and I spent a lot of time working the farm. But the farm led to some cool things. Dad would let me take the Bobcat out in the field and dig. So when I was 14, they brought a bulldozer in, and he let me build trails, the bulldozer, which nobody was doing, and then I would go out with the skid loader and move more dirt around. So my parents have been very supportive. They were 86, 87, I think 88. They took me to a bunch of different tours back when tours were cool and big. So I got to see Matt Hoffman when he was 14 and riding for Haro, Skyway, and blasting 16 feet out on a 10 foot quarter pipe that was only 8 feet wide. Some of the most outrageous stuff back then. These guys were blasting on that stuff. So that's where I started. In the 90s, when the death of BMX came along, I was still in high school, so it went from having 30 kids riding BMX one year to me the next year. Through high school, didn't really try to progress my riding. Once I got out of high school, it opened up a lot more free time for myself, and my bike riding progressed a little bit. Never a good bike rider, but love it. to the point where I can't stop thinking about it. So that's pretty much my history. Back in 2004, working on the farm, I had a 1,000-pound bale of hay fall on me and broke my back in 3 places. That changed my world. I took a break for roughly 10 years of doing anything on a bicycle, and then my local town put a small park in, and I had to. And that led up to this, me going out and about and starting to go to events, meeting wonderful people like Andy, and all the guys from Richmond. Hi guys, love you guys. Yeah, and over the last three years or so, I try to hit an event a month. If it's local, which means within New York State, and then in the winter months, when I'm not working hard on the farm, I'm trying to do whatever I can. Swamp Fest was amazing last year. This year it's going to be even better. And that's pretty much what I do in BMX. When I go to ride, it's not a lot of riding. But I'm enjoying myself. And that is really what matters for me.
Yeah, I think that's awesome.
Does that kind of answer what you're...
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going for. Was
too detailed?
Yeah, well, I mean, you could have gotten as detailed as you want, but I know you're also on a time crunch here a little bit and trying to...
I was looking at my details because I keep a journal because I want, when I get old and Alzheimer's, I want to be able to go back and be able to read what I did. Not a lot of action. I'll be honest with you. The farm really has absorbed my time over life. But I love the farm. So, it's a weird toss-up. When I go on events, I'm pulled away from my cows. So, it's so hard. But I need the breaks because the farming will kill you mentally. And physically, it's already broken me multiple times because I didn't talk about the time I got ran over by a corn planter when I was in 8th grade because I was going to skip school with my friends. And I had to go make a phone call. Farming has been a very, very rough on my body. But I love it. And I get to go drive tractors all day. To me, that's like playing in the sandbox. So at 45, I kind of like playing in the sandbox.
Yeah, no, and I mean, you're familiar with it.
Yes.
So, I mean, you've done it your entire life, right?
Yeah.
You were...
I did work off the farm, I would say roughly total of 3 years. And within that, I learned that I might as well work on the farm. I know who's going to fuck me. And that's when I decided. I didn't decide to become a farmer until I was 30. And before that, I just kind of wallowed around trying to figure out what I was doing. And as soon as I decided to be a farmer, the farm really kicked my ass by breaking my back.
I was going to say that timeline goes exactly till you decided to become a farmer when you were 30 or 45 now, and 15 years ago you broke your back. So,
if I remember correctly, in the spring that I was going to be a farmer. And 4 days after Christmas, I broke my back. What happened was I was unloading big square bales. They are 3 foot tall, 3 foot wide, and 8 feet long. You unload them with a tractor, usually with some spears. You stab into them. I was stacking them double, and there wasn't any kind of brace behind the spear. It wasn't designed to do 2 of the bales. And these bales weigh roughly 800 to 1,000 pounds. I had it raised up 12 feet with the second one on top, and I pulled ahead just a little bit, if I remember correctly, and I saw the bale rock forward. And when it rocked forward, I knew it was coming backwards. So I ducked down between the fender and the steering wheel. And when it hit, it smashed me into the bottom of the seat and hit me right across the middle of my back and blew the fenders right off the tractor. One of them's dented down that far where it hit. I'm very lucky to be alive. If I hadn't seen it coming, it could have rolled me over the back of the seat and cut me in half. It could have made me so I didn't walk. I could have been really bad. Very lucky man. So that was my accident.
Mm-hmm.
My father watched it happen.
Yeah, you know, obviously, long term, worse for you. In the moment, maybe worse for him, because he doesn't know what you don't know. He doesn't know.
Yeah, it's been a very long journey for the two of us.
Yeah.
Because, it's my father. Yeah. You'd have to ask him.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I'm just trying to think, like, could you watch that happen to someone else and be okay? In the moment, that's tough.
It's your kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, weird. Such a weird day.
So you have a lot of people that you know and you talk to now. Since you've been traveling a lot for and around BMX, did you know a lot of these people when you were younger? And I'm talking about...
Not at all. When I started traveling, pretty much I like to put my travel start was the FBM 21st birthday party. I made the trip down because I hadn't done anything.
2015, maybe?
Somewhere in there, I would say. Yes, it had to have been.
It was shortly after I moved down here. I know that.
Yes. Because I was still riding a volume back there then, and I think it was before they did the AOD reissues. So, because after that, I made a trip to Sweden, and I got to ride my first snake run in Sweden. And I was riding the Angel of Death then, and that was in 2015. Because I got a tattoo. When I was in Sweden, I got tattoos of Sweden on me. And I also got to go to Iceland, which was so cool. And I got them tattooed on me while I was there. And I put the date on them so I wouldn't forget. So 2015 is a very distinct point. So it was before 2015. So what's it? So about six, probably between 6 and 7 years I've been traveling.
Okay. Yeah, because I can date it roughly because I moved down here in the fall of 2014. Like summer to fall of 2014.
It was probably 2014 that I started doing this. And the only person I really knew in the industry was Crandall. And with my start of all of this, the only person I really knew was Crandall. And Tag, rest in peace. And not super friendly either, just the acquaintance type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And pretty much after I went to Sweden, which I think was like the next spring after that event, coming back from Sweden really changed my life. Getting out and seeing the world, not being at home in my tiny little town. 2 stoplights, 1 McDonald's. That's all we got. We only have 1 restaurant besides McDonald's in our town. It's the tiniest place. I realized I needed to get the hell out. I needed to get out and see more. And it started a crazy adventure. I needed a new bike. And I was following Neighborhood BMX, rest in peace. That was Aaron Bostrom's bike shop. And I called out there one day because he put up a picture of a bike I thought looked cool. And spent 2 hours talking to Aaron Bostrom on the phone. Within a year, I made my first trip to California, to Long Beach. I had never met Aaron. I had only talked to him on the phone, him and his buddy Nick, Nick. And so I flew out to California. No clue who was going to pick me up at the airport. Hoping hoping and praying someone would pick me up at the airport, because Aaron was working, I think at that time, don't get me, he does a lot of work for a lot of different people, and because he builds ramps. I don't know if a lot of people know that. And so he was working on some project somewhere. When I got to his house, he wasn't there for 2 days, that just shows you how awesome BMX was. He trusted me to stay in his house for 2 days without him even there, and he never knew me. But Dave Jacobs, I figured out who it was. I remember talking about last night.
Yeah.
Older BMX guy from the Cleveland area was staying with him, and he picked me up and kind of gave me the lay down. And I was going to hang out with the other guy from the shop, Nick, while we waited for Aaron to come in. We had I had a bike we had to get built because I had some rims we were going to build. So we spent the first day just building some stuff and hanging out. Long Beach is an amazing, weird place. You can be rolling down the street and roll up on a full-blown, back then, Ride BMX photo shoot. And then you could turn the next corner and run into 30 guys in a pack riding. It was really amazing. But yeah, that's how I really started meeting people, because while I was out there, I got to meet Ben Ward from GT, and some other people, just other riders, which really helped open up that. And I'm a friendly guy when it comes to people. For some reason, I gravitate towards the people that seem to be in charge of whatever's going on. So I end up meeting and talking to a lot of very cool and very interesting people. But that's how I know people, is really through Aaron and getting out there and meeting. And I'll tell everyone, you can meet your heroes in BMX. You have to put a little bit of effort in, but you can actually meet them. My biggest hero was Brian Blyther. I met him. I've had a conversation with him. It was wonderful. Last year, I just happened to be at the right place and time, stood and talked to Matt Hoffman for 15-20 minutes about random stuff. So amazing. Everyone, get out there. See people. Don't be afraid to talk to anyone. Because 90% of the time, they're cool. A lot cooler than you'll ever think they are.
I think there's a little bit of a caveat to throw in there too, is it's tougher if you fanboy.
I don't know what a fanboy is.
Well,
because I don't fanboy.
Yeah, well, exactly. So that's what I'm saying is, like, I know that you don't do that. You know, you might be really stoked on this person, but you're not going to be like, oh my God, I love your riding. I love when you did this. I love that video part. Man, your ender in this was my favorite. And it's just like...
No, I don't do that.
Yeah, like, have a real conversation. They're people, too. They're not just bike riders.
Yeah, the most I do when it comes to meeting famous people, and I'll tell this to everybody, just tell them you know who they are. When they come up, I've found with most pro riders, they don't realize how big of fans people are. And the fanboy thing can throw them off a bit. Just talk to them like normal people. That's the one thing I've learned about everybody. They're all just normal. All just dudes wanting to get down the trails without eating shit. You know?
And they want to show up and have a session.
Yeah.
They don't want to be fanboyed over the entire time. There might be a select few that may enjoy that at one point in their life.
They don't want to do it at the trails when they're trying to drop in. I'll tell you that right now, everybody. They don't want to talk about it. They just want to ride. So if they're at the park, leave them alone until they go take a little break. And then just say hi.
Yeah, say what's up.
I don't know how many times before I actually talk to someone, I'll say hi. I'll wave to them. Perfect example was last night with the... I can't say their last name.
Potosny.
The Potosnys. I have met the Potosnys like 3 or 4 times over the last 2.5 years. Last night was the first time I ever talked to...
Probably Mike.
Is he there at the wheel mill last night?
I saw Mike. I did not see Mark, but...
Okay, yeah, he was up top when we were up top.
Yeah.
It was the first time I had ever had a conversation with him. And he said to me at the very beginning, I've seen you around. That's how I had my first conversation with Van Holman. Talk about wanting to fanboy out. He might have been my closest to fanboying. Because that one was a little bit of an odd beginning to the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
But it was cool because I stood next to Van Holman at Swamp Fest while the big rally was going on. Like, he was right there with Ronnie Bonner and the rest of the Shadow crew. That's the beauty of going to these events. And Swamp Fest is the best to meet and see people that you never would have thought you would have seen. I saw Dave Volker, which I might fanboy out a lit about the Lord. How can you not? That rock tail tap is legendary. And no one knows about Dave Volker and the rock tail tap, it was a ride cover. Find it, and you will understand the Lord and why he needs to be worshipped. Yeah. Yeah. So, you get to meet some crazy people. And you'll randomly be just standing next to them. That's when it's the coolest part, when you're just standing next to them. You don't even have to talk to them.
Yeah. No, because you're there. You're in the moment with them. You're not just...
Yeah. You don't have to ride your bike. I went to Swamp Fest last year. My bike stayed locked to my car. Never even touched it. I had the best time in the world. Yesterday, we went to the wheel mill. There was an event. Thank you, the wheel mill, for having an event. I brought my bike in, threw it in the rack, and just went in and watched. I do that at a lot of events that I don't even ride my bike. Mm-hmm. I'll bring it. Sometimes it's good to be in the moment and to sit back and feel it and breathe it in. You know, it's great that guys can be like, yeah, I went to Swamp Fest. I rode on the van. I went to Swamp Fest and saw so much that if I had been on my bicycle, I don't think I would have seen.
I think that's fair.
And I think that's some of the... Yeah. I don't know what I'm trying to say there.
Well, so kind of a little bit of background on this discussion. Sam and I have been talking for 2 days about
life,
like this event and life and a whole bunch of other stuff. But like, I am still at the point in my life and riding where like, if I'm going to spend time and money to go travel somewhere, I want to spend that time and money to go ride. And
I don't do that. I do not do that, ever.
It seems like you're more in the, like, you're seeking out life experiences.
Yep.
And just looking to learn. So, like, if you can talk to people, there's more value in that to you than just paying for a session or something.
Yes.
And
people would be amazed how many times I've paid for a session and spent less than 10 minutes on my bicycle. Absolutely amazed. I have driven to Posh. Posh is 4.5 hours from my house. On the tent of riding, because it was an event, and I really like riding dirt. Now that my back is broken, it's more forgiving, it seems, on my body. I don't have to go up and down ramps. I like to go fast now. So I wanted to ride. We got to Posh. It was beautiful out. An hour and a half later, the clouds rolled in. By the time we got to the car, the backpacks were wet inside. So I drove 4.5 hours to ride for 6 laps, to get completely hosed, to get back in the car and drive 4.5 hours home. That was my day. But within that day, I talked with Chris Holloman, and I can't remember who else. Cody Diggs. There's so many different people that I got to visit with. And I'll tell you what, there's nothing better than when you roll into Posh and Jason Lonergan says hi to you. And you realize he knows, he doesn't know who you are.
He recognizes
you. Recognizes you. That is an amazing feeling. When these legends recognize you. Don't even have to talk to you. They just recognize you.
Mm-hmm. And it's all from saying hey or hi once in a while.
No, it's not even from saying hi. It's from being there.
Yeah.
You cannot grow your scene without leaving your scene. Because no one will ever see your scene.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes any sense to anyone out there.
Well, I
love everyone that has these little crews. Get your crews on the goddamn road. You can't do anything on the same ledge, the same curb bump, the same wall ride, or the same dirt jump. And you do not progress your riding.
I don't disagree with you to a lot of degrees there. I think it really depends. Well, no, from a standpoint of progressing your scene, you're 100% right. If no one from your scene goes out of your scene, no one else knows your scene exists. So you've traveled to point A, met these people, they're going to go, well, what does your scene have to offer? And you might say, I don't know, we got like a crappy skate park and a shipped up ledge. And they'll go, well, man, you're pretty cool. Like, we'll come up and check out your scene. And then they all come up to point B, and maybe something develops from that. And now you and that other scene are now going to point C to check out this other guy that you guys met. And, like, you just spider web out. You meet a bunch of people, and it becomes just this awesome experience that you don't get when you just hang out in your hometown.
Yeah, absolutely. The people that I've met from all over the world, Australia, France, Canada. I met a whole crew from Canada at just a random ride in Syracuse, New York. So I can't remember all the different countries, to be honest with you. Belgium. I'm pretty sure I met some Australians at some point. Yeah. It's just, you get out there. Just get out there. Get out of your small little niche and get out there and spread your wings, because you can meet your heroes. If you put a little time and effort, you can meet your heroes. No other sport allows you to meet your heroes easily and as accessibly as BMX does.
Well, and like I said yesterday when we were talking about this, it's kind of like if you meet your favorite basketball player somewhere, they're not going to just play a one-on-one game of ball with you. They might sign an autograph and then they want to dip. But when you meet your favorite bike rider at the skate park, like, as long as you're not fanboying and as long as you're not acting super hungry.
We got visitors.
Hang on a minute. Come here, buddy.
What's up, bud?
Come here.
Hey, you dad? No? You want me to put him back out again? I think he's rolling everything.
Yeah, I mean, he's okay.
I don't care.
He's got the
hilarious.
pop.
I love little kids, and this right here is the future of BMX. Anyone that doesn't like little kids
Come here.
should
Do you want?
be hated because.
Do you want to be on camera, buddy?
Yeah, go in there and get on the podcast, bud. Get you famous before you barely walk.
Come here. Come here. Can you wave to the camera? Tell them what your name is. What's your name?
Ryder.
Ryder. How old are you, Ryder?
Good.
Good?
Yeah.
How old are you? How old are you?
Good.
How old are you?
Good.
You're 2.
I too.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, we're not playing games right now. We're
talking.
just talking, saying hi.
Just talking.
You see yourself over here?
Can you see me on the TV?
Yeah.
Weird, huh?
Yeah. I got this down.
You gotta get down?
Yeah.
Okay, can you take your toys and get out of here?
Yeah.
Go see Mom for a little bit? Yeah? Yeah, you can come back in and get it. Man, lost my train of thought there. We were talking about
It doesn't matter.
not being hungry, and too, like,
I'm
you know,
always
when
hungry
you're
'cause I'm a fat man.
when you know, like they're not gonna play one-on-one ball with you if you meet your favorite basketball player. But if you are sitting on the deck of a ramp or at the roll into the trails with your favorite bike rider,
You're going to talk to him sometimes. It's just
yeah, or you know, when they come back after a run, fist bump. That was sick, man.
yeah.
Like, that's how you start a conversation. Not fanboying, not trying to one up, not trying to just pull your biggest move. As your session progresses, everyone's gonna see that you can ride your bike or that you can't. It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't matter if you can ride a bike.
But are you
I've
a
already
cool
proven
dude?
that.
Because they're a cool dude.
Yeah, it's all it is you're there for the love of the bike. Just like yesterday, we went to the world's biggest bicycle museum here in Pittsburgh. Go. It's amazing. So many bikes.
Yeah, it's called Bicycle Heaven. It's in like the north side of Pittsburgh.
I don't know.
And
Pittsburgh's a cluster. You guys have already had a conversation on how the roads
I think that
in
was the
Pittsburgh are
Brant
horrible.
podcast. I think we talked about how bad it was.
The roads?
Yeah.
No.
I think it was Brant because he was driving in from Ohio.
Well, that just means that this is going to be a regular thing.
Yeah,
on
it's a
your
recurring
podcast.
issue.
Because, no, the one I'm talking about was with Tom Beckman.
Okay.
And talking about the horrible roads. And yesterday, Andy was gracious enough to drive me around the city of Pittsburgh. Oh my God. I will never live in Pittsburgh. It is a gorgeous, beautiful city. I don't feel like driving back on top of myself to get to a spot that's 10 feet from where I was at.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rough. Sometimes.
It's the weirdest city I think I've been in so far when it comes to the roads. And that included Stockholm, which had cobblestone mixed in with concrete, mixed in with pavement, mixed in with... Though the roads were really narrow. It was a very interesting city to be in. They also had these really cool... on the curbs, on all the curbs, they had these little tiny banks, like 2.5 foot tall.
It's pretty
Banked
cool.
on one side, vertical on the other. Beautiful. I didn't get a chance to go ride street in Stockholm. My back blows out randomly. I have really bad. I broke 3 vertebrae, so my back is screwed. I coughed this week and I couldn't walk for 2 days. When I got to Stockholm, we had been in Sweden for we'd been traveling for 17 days. When we got to the final day that I was going to go ride street, my back went out. I couldn't get to ride my bike at all. But it doesn't matter because I was there and I was living the moment.
Yeah, and I think that's something that a lot of us, myself included, are going to miss potentially based on our desire to just be riding. We are going to miss out on a lot of experiences and things that in the long run may be more important than the session that you got this time or that day or whatever. But it's kind of a live and learn, and like you're going to have to realize that as it comes. And I think you're more open to it because you were out of it and you're back because you love it. And
Yeah.
it's not only the riding bikes part, because that's such a small portion of the equation. It's all the people you meet. It's the weirdness that can be involved. It's the
Super weird. I've seen some of the most weird things in BMX.
it's those interactions like you were talking about with Aaron, where you've never met this person, but because you're a biker, a BMXer of any sort, you're just like
Any sort.
your family. And
Well, that's why I'm here with Andrew. Andy here. I maybe have spent before I came and visited you, maybe 3 or 4 hours total with you over
Yeah.
the last few years.
I mean, it feels
He
like
opened
more
his
than
house
that.
up to me, to his family. His little guy was sitting on my lap this morning. I'm pretty sure LeBron James ain't gonna let you in to hang out and play with his kids. Stop idol worshiping these guys that don't deserve it.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even like a thought. But no, it feels like we've hung out more than that, but it's always at events. So it's like, and you're just everywhere. And you're probably right. Realistically, we've probably talked for less than that. It's just that.
Probably.
How do you sum it up and equate it to anything?
Yeah. Well, our first meeting was at Cranks, and what was that? Maybe 10 minutes total?
Mm-hmm.
It's come out to end up being a friendship.
Yeah.
And I would say it's a friendship, even though we haven't known each other that long.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's too much in common. And when we spent the day together, we really learned that we do enjoy each other's company, I believe.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
that is a hard thing to do in this day and age, is to find someone that you enjoy their company. And to do that, you got to find something that you have a common ground in.
I think that even is way harder for the common person. So like,
Yeah, it is.
you know, because it's the same reason. If you show up on a BMX bike and you seem like a reasonably cool dude, you're instantly friends with the other reasonably cool dude that you've been chilling on the deck with.
How
And
many dudes at the wheel mill the other night that I talked to that I didn't know? Well,
Yeah.
Andy was riding, and I was on the deck. I talked to at least 3 different people that at the beginning of the day, I had no clue who they were. I'll tell you what, I still don't know who they are. But you know what? If I see them again, they're going to get a fist pound, and I probably will talk to them some more. Maybe by the 3rd or 4th time, I'll learn what their name is. Doesn't matter what their name is. It matters that they're there.
Mhm.
Perfect example is Ben OG on Instagram.
Yeah.
What's his last name?
Garlington.
Garlington. That guy I have known for 5 or 6 years. You know when I learned his name? 6 months ago. Had no clue. Conversations on the deck. Every event that I saw him, he was at, fist bumping. Brother, how you doing? The whole thing. Didn't know where he was from. Had no clue, nothing about the guy.
I think
He is an amazing person.
there's a cool thing to be said for that too, because a lot of people get very self-conscious if you don't know someone's name by the second or third time you've seen them somewhere. Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to just say, "Hey, my name is so and so," because
Always, and that's where Sam from Mexico came from. Because you don't learn the name the first time. You learn it the second or third or maybe even the 5th time. because there's so much being put into your brain that you can't figure it all out. Be happy if you can remember their face.
Yeah.
And next time you see them, be like, dude. And I don't know how many times I've done across the park, dude. And that was our conversation. But next time, it's dude. And we got next to each other and we gave a fist bump. And then the next time we had a conversation.
Yeah, and
And then the next time, like with Ben, he had an event. Have events. If you want people to come see you and see everything, have an event. It doesn't even cost you any money if you do it correctly. People will come to a pile of dirt in a field to ride it.
Mm-hmm.
If you build it, they'll come. But I missed his event. You don't know how bad I felt that I missed his event because I had to work.
Yeah.
I want to support him. I don't even know the guy. Love him. Takes a hit like no one else. That guy can take a hit. but yeah, that's how I've met people. I met the Ginch brothers by climbing out of my van and having one of them sleeping underneath the door to my van at an event. Since then, we've become pretty good buddies. That's just how it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's...
Yeah, I'm a Billy. People don't realize, and if anyone is really into the East Coast BMX and you don't know who a Billy is, you really need to dig in and find out who parties hard. I'm a Billy. Where was I going with that? I have no clue other than I like saying I'm a Billy.
The Richmond scene will 100% understand what you're saying.
Anybody that
maybe
knows will know. Montana Ricky knows what a Billy is. He's been to the compound. The compound's a special place. Rest in peace, the compound. That's where I stay when I go to Richmond. I like going to Richmond. Richmond is one of the best BMX towns I've ever found. Everyone is so friendly, and if you can't find a session with at least 3 guys within 20 minutes of being there, you ain't gone to Powers. Because Powers is the heart of that scene.
Mm-hmm.
But the Billies, I met Bo, Billy, whatever he wants to go by at the minute, baby. Because sometimes you can call him Bon Scott, because he puts on a hell of a Bon Scott impersonation. And go see their band. I think they're playing at Swamp Fest. Pretty sure they got a good cover band. They're playing at Swamp Fest. Where's they going? I met him. He climbed off the bus, the FBM bus, drunk as a skunk. We talked for an hour. Bo is one of my best friends.
It's awesome. I mean, you never know when you're going to meet someone.
I stay at their house. I will show up at their house when they're not home, and they don't even care. They're the best people. Him and Ski. Ski plays in a death metal band. He's just his roommate. I have, outside of BMX, I've gone and seen Ski play his death metal a long way from my house. I drove an hour and a half to go see his band. That is as much BMX as it is anything. Supporting the people that you care about.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I have no clue where that was supposed to go. But I think I made a point of something.
Yeah,
there.
well, and I think where I was going with my comment before that, too, is when you look at like a standard average person just living a life outside of BMX, I don't think it's that easy for them to make friends. I think it's really reaching to make friends because everyone is so shut off.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, people that go to the gym or whatever, you would think, as a BMXer, you go to the deck. It would be like hanging out on the deck, and you're just chatting with people. But no, everyone, well, this happens at parks too, but everyone just pops their earbuds in and zones out on their own.
I've noticed that that's a younger generation thing, but I've also noticed that as the kids get older, they pull the buds out so they can hear.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'll tell you, young kids out there, I don't know how many are listening. Get the buds the hell out of your ears. Put some brakes on your bike so that I don't have to worry about running you over.
I think Doyle said that in his podcast. Not the brakes part, but the earbuds thing.
But I'm a brakes guy, dude. I run front and back. Brakes, you ain't gonna break me of it. I've done brakeless, don't get me wrong. Back in the 90s, I'd done it all. I can afford to get my rims straightened now. People don't even realize that 90% of the reason you young guys ride brakeless now is the crew from New York City couldn't afford to get new rims and get their stuff straightened in the 90s. And they were riding brakeless because you can't have brakes in bent to shit rims. And that is where your brakeless came from, children. Big bars, I don't know where that crap came from, but...
Marketing.
Yeah.
You have to go up 0.05 inches every few months so that people just buy the next version.
Is that what it is?
So
we're gonna be all riding 8 hangers by the time I'm done.
Well, I mean, it hit a point where it was ridiculous, I think.
And on that note, I run 11s.
But you're on a 22-inch bike, so you scale it up.
No, I was running the 11s. When I broke my back, I found out that running low bars. Thank you, Kelly Baker, for helping me. Boy, I name drop a lot. But Kelly Baker was the one that told me that, because he's got problems with his back too. And he was the one that told me I needed to get bigger bars. And it was one of the best suggestions I've ever had in my whole bike riding career, was getting taller bars. Don't get me wrong, they're not 30 inches wide. They're narrow, but they're tall.
How narrow?
28. I like 28. I've always 28. I used to, maybe a little bit narrower, but I don't think I cut the bars off I'm running now. But I have weird handlebars. I had custom bars built by FBM that are a 4-piece dyno pretzel bar. No one has handlebars like mine.
Let me see. I'm gonna see if I can snap a picture of that and throw it in.
Okay, that'd be cool.
And
that'll be a big old Work BMX through John Courts. Johnny, this was a little bit of a brainchild between me and Johnny on these handlebars. Me and Johnny are, over the years, have become pretty decent buddies. Some of you may know me from my car. I drive a Honda Element with a big, giant, crazy rack and a tent on the top and an awning. It's if you go on Instagram, it's my Honda Element. Pretty cool rig, to the point where I've had people. I did at Swamp Fest, our BMX/ride. Did a small interview with me. It never made it anywhere, but they actually came and talked to me about my car, which blew my mind. But me and my little Honda Element, you may see me in the pumpkin. It's an orange Honda Element. It's got Jessica on the back, which isn't that kind of crazy? The big old dog head on the back.
Yeah.
If you see the car, come find me and say hi. I love to talk to everybody. I like to talk to parents of kids. Love talking to parents of kids. That's how I met the Halehans. That's how I know Jaden Munchin?
Yeah.
I don't know how to pronounce his name. He is the upcomer on kink. I personally am not a huge kink supporter, but oh my God, is that kid good. I saw him riding Rye Airfield when they went and did, him and Doyle were there, the whole kink team was there. And God, that kid was jumping just as high as Doyle, if not a little bit higher. Some of you may know him from, it wasn't Simple Sessions. It was at the Source. I'm pretty sure he won like the best trick possibly.
I think so.
He's going to be an upcomer. You guys keep an eye out for him. He's not a full pro rider yet, but I'm pretty sure he got to Simple this year. He's starting to get out and about more. You're going to hear about this kid because he goes big and he ain't scared.
I think his trick, he did something off the box, way over the flat into like this,
and I think
into the waterfall of a bowl or something like that. It was big.
Ridiculous. And he goes big. He's a local Rochester kid. I've known him since, over 13 when I first met him and his father. Chalk up to his father. That guy is awesome. He's run that kid all over the country. That's a pretty cool guy. I can't remember his name, too. You're going to find that a lot with me. I can't remember your names. I remember your faces, and I will come up and talk to you.
Yeah, faces are easy, but names you meet so
Like
you meet a bunch of good people, but you also meet a bunch of people everywhere you go that you're just never gonna see again. They're either gonna drop out, they don't really care or love BMX, or just riding for fun.
Yep.
You're bumping into them at a park. Maybe they were traveling from somewhere else, so like you're just like you get so many names, and you're just like in one ear out the other. Doesn't really matter, and then when you like see the person 5-6 times, you're like, dude, I'm sorry. No, but I really wish I knew your name.
You know what I do? I walk up and introduce myself.
Mm-hmm.
That's somewhere the Sam from Mexico. Hi, I'm Sam from Mexico. I know we have met before. I can't remember your name. Just be honest. People will be like, yeah, I'm so-and-so.
Same. I didn't remember yours either, but I recognized you.
Or what people do when they introduce themselves to me, I'm like, hi, I'm Sam. I have no clue. I'm not going to remember your name. I tell them instantly that I'm not going to remember their name, but I'm going to remember their face, and next time I see them, I'm going to say hi.
Yeah. You may not even remember where you saw him, because traveling is...
Never have a clue. That Ben, back to talking about Ben again. I have no clue where I met him, and I can't tell you the last event I saw him at. But I almost guarantee I'll see him at the next one.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy and weird.
Yeah.
How things go.
Yeah, it is. But I think it's also cool when you've got your vehicle that's so notable that whenever someone sees it, they're like, oh, Sam's here. I got to go find him.
Yeah. Ahead of... you pulled into at HCS... Thank you, Derek Nelson, for having one of the coolest skate park / backyard / I don't know what art exhibit. Art exhibit's a good thing you could call HCS too. If no one knows what HCS is, or Derek Nelson / is it the Dark Rider or the Black Rider?
Black Rider.
The Black Rider.
It's a Tom Waits album. It's the Black Rider.
Well, I know there's another kid that goes by the Dark Rider too now.
I know there's a rider in black.
So, but the Black Rider? Is what his name is?
Yeah.
Find Derek Nelson. Oh my lord. He's a special dude.
At Spooky Action Industrial Arts on Instagram.
There you go. People need to meet Derek and talk to Derek. Derek's a very interesting guy. It took me a long time to start talking to Derek.
Takes Derek a long time to start talking to people.
Yes. But when he starts talking, it's amazing. Absolutely amazing when he starts talking. He has a library in a skate park. Who has a library at their skate park and says, take any book you want? Take it. Don't bring it back. I don't ever want to see it again.
Yeah, but if you have something to contribute, bring me something new.
Yeah, bring in something. So, yeah. Well, the first time I went to HCS, we pulled down into the lamplighter, and oh my God, I was like, this place is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, if no one knows what we're talking about, Post-Apocalyptica from FBM, that's where the pizza slice is.
Yeah.
The pizza slice going to heaven.
We have an every year event there, and I know that we're doing another one this year.
You're gonna do a good one this year?
I don't have dates.
Okay.
So it would be a really cool place to drop that info, but that info doesn't exist.
It doesn't matter if it exists. Follow GrindWorks, and we will tell you when it will exist.
Yeah.
And come, because GrindWorks, first off, has the best giveaways of all the events I've ever been to. Everybody seems to get something. And Andy's awesome. They have the best pegs so far. You can hear the difference in his pegs. over everybody else's. If you like your pegs to clink and clank when they hit the coping, and you want it to sound a little different than everybody else,
rather than thump and crack.
Yeah. And if you want to be able to grind ledges long, hard, and fast, you need Andy's pegs because they're hard, and hard pegs make it so much easier to grind. I don't ride like that anymore, but back when I was riding, I liked street, and I liked to feeble. Like 50, 60-foot feebles I was trying before I quit. The pedal just as hard as you can, to the point where if you miss, you're
done.
Dying. And I'm talking on flat ledges. There was one time I missed and the peg got caught under the ledge. It threw me 20 feet. Over through the bars.
This is not a paid endorsement by GrindWorks.
No, I just love Andy, to be honest with you. And when I hear the pegs,
grinding, they have a different ring to them because of that.
When you hit them together, they sound different than anything else. If you haven't ever seen some GrindWorks pegs, you need to give them a check out. So, okay, so now that we've advertised GrindWorks for this podcast, we will move on to somewhere else.
Yeah. But, no, you know what? You bring up a good point. You bring up a good point that I fail at sometimes is I have to make the assumption to myself that people are watching or listening to the GrindWorks podcast because they already know GrindWorks. But there's a high possibility that YouTube dumped this in front of someone and they just started listening.
Yeah.
Or that they just caught the podcast because they searched BMX on Apple Podcasts or Spotify.
Or they started out with the Beautiful Doyle podcast.
And
is he one of the? Let's be honest. Is he one of the most famous people you've interviewed, Andy?
It's probably I mean, I would say he's the second most listened to podcast at this point.
Who's the first? This is just fun stuff to know.
Johnny.
Really, Johnny Quartz.
And it's a super recent one.
Work BMX.
But you also have to consider the subject matter is interesting.
Yes.
And everyone in the scene shared the post.
Yeah.
Whereas most of these episodes might get a like when I post it, but no one sits there and shares it. Reblogs it to their story on Instagram, just the link to mine.
Yeah.
On Facebook, shares the link to the website to see it. You know, that goes a long way, and I don't think people realize that. You know,
sharing your stuff so other people can see it across the multiple platforms. If people like GrindWorks, help Andy promote it by just simply sharing it to your friends. They don't even have to watch it.
Yeah.
But it puts it out there so that because they might watch it, like it, and share it to their friends.
Yeah.
And before you know it, 30 or 40 people know about it where you're the initiator. You can feel cool that you were the one that did that.
Yeah, and I know there's a lot of reach on GrindWorks. It's just, I think it's inconsistent. But anyway, it's, for my sake, it's at GrindWorks_BMX on Instagram. That's our primary social media. There's also at GrindWorks_BMX on Twitter and Snapchat. And then on Facebook and a lot of other things, they don't allow the underscore. So it's at GrindWorks BMX on Facebook, Mixer, TikTok,
Pornhub.
You know, that one doesn't exist yet.
Sublime Directory.
I think that one has to be GrindWorks BMXXX, though,
XXX.
on Pornhub.
Is that how that works? And if you know what Sublime Directory is, you're pretty old school.
I don't know what it is.
You will by the end of the day. You'll go look at it and find it out.
Sublime Directory.
Yep. I would call that the
Do I want to look this up?
No, it's like the precursor to Pornhub.
All right. Cool.
Okay, we're going to stop that conversation now.
Before it
gets
spirals
really
out of control, because last night...
Oh my lord.
Last night, we're sitting there just joking around, talking about nonsense at the wheel mill. And
this poor mom was sitting, not 6 feet from us.
It was like a 25-minute conversation that went really far into the gutter.
Way too, like...
And James is the only one sitting there making eye contact with this lady who's beat red in the face.
Oh my God.
And then she moves, and she can see all of us, and said conversation just continues.
Yeah, we were beating we were beating that dead horse hard. That was awesome.
It was pretty funny.
We were laughing. It was a good time. That's how you make friends. That's how it's nice conversation. Good conversation. At the park, guys. Don't be afraid to sit at the bench next to your buddies and just bullshit with them. You know? Learn about your friends.
I think James might have taken 2 runs or 3 runs at the wheel mill that whole day. I didn't really take that many more.
I brought my bike in so it wouldn't get stolen. You know?
But, so that is a cool talking point in a way. And you're not a local here in the sense that you don't have like a season pass or a month pass or anything like that. But it speaks a lot to that style of running a park where we aren't necessarily there for the session. And I think this is where you're going to relate even more to this because it's what I was talking about with you before. But we are paying for a membership to a club, is what I would say. And whether you show up to that club to ride your bike or just hang out at the shop, chat with some of the co-workers or the people that work there, chat with your friends, maybe take a couple runs, but you just dick around and have some fun while you're there. Like, you're there because of the atmosphere and the friends and the scene and just, it's all of that. It's not just, well, I'm not going to go down there tonight because I only have an hour and a half to ride. I'm not spending that money. You're just going because it's your place, and I think that's a cool thing.
Here's a little story. The first time I went to Posh and Caddy, they were having a Posh Caddy weekend. My bike stayed home. Didn't even bring it. Spent the whole weekend up to my eyeballs in BMX. My bike was at home. I'll tell you what, that day was amazing. I got to see the Hands. Oh my God, Nate. Those kids are awesome.
I got something in my throat. It is terrible.
Help that out, buddy. Don't worry. But I got to see old school legends ride. I got to meet people and talk to people. I didn't even need my bike. Sure, it would have been cool to have it to ride back to the car. But at that point, my skill level wasn't up. We really haven't talked much about my bike skill level. But when I broke my back, it went to ground zero to the point where I was scared to ride. And now this year I got air for the first time in 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
It's taken me 6 years to get to the point where I feel comfortable enough on my bike to go fast enough to get air. Is it pretty? I don't think so. Andy might have seen me getting it. I think it's kind of ugly. You can tell that there's some technique involved. You can tell that back in the day I used to have dirt jumps and
you can tell that you're hesitant. And
with
with
watching me, I can't. I don't videotape myself.
With good reason though, and that's what people may not understand when they see you too. Like, it's not like you're.
I can depump a jump like you don't even know.
It's not like you're afraid to ride your bike, but you're definitely afraid of like you said earlier. You coughed and your back went out and you couldn't walk for 3 days. Like,
what happens if I slip a pedal?
What happens if you overshoot a jump a little bit and your back just moves? One, I mean, my back's gone out. Probably not to the degree that yours does.
When mine goes out, I have a walker at home.
You collapse when it happens, practically.
Yeah, I can't move. Tears stream down my face uncontrollably. And it's not because I'm crying. It's the pure pain.
Mm-hmm.
Like right now, everyone, I am sitting here and it hurts. Maybe within the podcast you may notice that I wiggle and move a lot. I can't sit still. It hurts so much. When my pain level on a 1 to 10 never drops below 7. That's a crazy thing to live with.
Mm-hmm. And
But if you meet me, you'll see that I do ride. And I'm trying.
mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's. I mean, you're there though.
But I got a cool bike.
I think if there's one thing to take away from this entire episode is just be there.
Yeah.
Even if it's only in your local scene. I know we were talking about get out of your local scene, do other cool things, but just be there in your local scene too. There's nothing that's more of a bummer than when there's a jam in your local scene and people just don't show up.
Yes. And people have traveled for hours to come, and your local guys don't show up. Andy knows more about this because he's put on events. I haven't put on an event yet. Yet. Sam doesn't go small. When I do something, you all will know.
Stay tuned at, what is it? It's at Sam from Mexico, right?
Yeah,
the no
at
underscores,
Sam from
right?
Mexico.
Just straight, all one word.
I'll
have to look it up.
You start punching in Sam from Mexico.
Let me fix it right now because people might not check the notes, and if I don't correct it in the episode, then it might be. I
don't think there's an underscore or anything.
I don't think there is either.
I think it's just straight Sam from Mexico. Because when I first started my Instagram, it was Sam Weber.
Nope, it is. It's Sam _from Mexico.
Okay, cool. I don't have a clue. I know there is no underscore in the Honda Element one. Because I was amazed that I could get my Honda Element. So. Yay.
Yeah. Cool.
What else are we going to talk about? What were we talking about? Can't remember.
I mean, pretty much just
everything.
But, I mean...
all the events and stuff.
Yeah, so you're...
I'm talking... to a lot of different people. I want to do something to leave a small mark on the industry.
Are you trying to do it this year?
Here.
Or is it something you'd like to get to next year?
I have learned with my life that if I try pushing things too fast, they don't work well. I know some people can say, I'm going to have an event in 3 weeks. It'll come out and it'll turn out perfect. If I do that, it will be a shit show. And back to, like I said, I want to put a mark on the industry so that people remember. To do that, you have to do something special. I haven't figured out what the special is. I'm hoping to do something that becomes a multi-year event with some very permanent things. Because I have a 250-acre farm. I don't know. We really didn't cover what I have for a farm.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk about it pretty much to wrap when we get to that point.
So, well, I'll just give a little bit. I got a 250-acre farm. So I have a lot of land available. And I'm transitioning it from my parents owning it to me owning it. We used to milk 70 cows, and we sold those like 7 years ago. Some because of my back. My father's not a young man. And second off, if anyone knows about the farming industry, it is really sad that what is going on. Farmers are, I hate to say this, killing themselves. They can't afford to live. So, I'm trying to get my business to the point where I can survive. Because right now, if it wasn't for a bank giving me money, I wouldn't survive. And it's not that I don't do anything. We bale hay for beef cows and horses. I try to average 3,000 round bales a year of people don't know really much about farming, but there's a first and second cutting. That's just first cutting. The second cutting comes a little bit more sporadic, but I'm really trying to push for close to 5,000 round bales. That is an amazing amount of feed to be able to do. And I don't have an employee. I have me. My father helps a little bit because after we got done farming, I'm not afraid to say this, but milking cows and trying to help feed our country put my father $250,000 in debt after we sold our cows. So we've taken the last 7 years to dig out of this debt that was caused by trying to feed people. And that is with all farmers. I just watched a grain farmer, and he broke down on YouTube. His name's Cole the Corn Star. He's a young 20-year-old boy that's trying to survive in this world. And he actually did a whole podcast. It was a breakdown of the money of his business. And his business runs, I think, don't get me right on the numbers, but they brought in $3.4 million in money. By the time he got broken down, they were $250,000 in debt in 1 year. How can anyone run a business like that? And please, everyone, these are the people that are trying to feed you. Don't ever complain that food costs too much. Because if people really knew how much it costs the families, you would hate all of your professional football players that make millions of dollars for playing with balls. I have a very huge hatred for professional sports because they get paid so much money for nothing that helps society. And I may sound like I'm vehement about this, and I am. They don't do anything for society. Nothing. Their foundations are most of the time places where they can filter their money through tax-free, and that is just wrong. I understand that there are quite a few professional people that do get out and help their community. That is good. If they can take their money and help other people, that is a wonderful thing. And I would support that person. But as a whole, fuck professional sports. The only people that make money off professional sports are the people that don't deserve the money. And they also they do pittance to help their communities. Most of their arenas are paid for by the community, which is ridiculous. The NFL didn't even pay taxes until just a few years ago. Everyone should be outraged, but yet you buy their jerseys and want us to talk about marketing. Every game has a different jersey, so you have to buy every jersey. It's $70, and you know that they're only paying $5 maybe to have the jersey made, including your custom name on the back. So everyone, please remember that. Support your BMX guys. Most of your BMX guys are just like farmers. They can't barely afford to survive. And I'm going to put this out about FBM. That was some of the problem with FBM. They could not afford to survive.
You've crushed a commodity item, like you've just crushed it to the point where what's the price of a frame gone up? From I'm going to say 2001 when I first bought an aftermarket frame.
I'll tell you the
I think
truth.
I probably paid $325 to $350
When I bought my first
for
Angel
it.
of Death, frame and fork, I paid $200. I got a really good deal because I was friends with a bike shop, hardtop board gear that's not around anymore. They were an amazing shop. I got a deal on it. But back then it was still only $250 for a frame. A week and a half ago, I bought a new FBM 22 because I had to have it. $560. I'm involved enough with the industry that I'm not going to give any more numbers. But there's a lot of people from the time that bike gets welded to when it goes to a consumer that are dipping in to make money off from it. Most of the time, it's not the manufacturer. There's people that aren't even involved with BMX making money off BMX. Well, so if there's any way that you can go right directly to a manufacturer to get stuff, or a bike shop, I'm not going to say anything bad about bike shops, because bike shops are the ones that will help you get the things you need done if your frame bends. Because if you call a company, they're going to be like, what was this kid doing? But if the bike shop calls the company, you're going to get a whole different reaction. Support your bike shops. Amazon will not let you return your part.
As soon as you've installed it, you're done.
You're done. Remember that I was a big Dan's Comp when Dan's Comp was big, because there was no bike shop in my area. Dan's Comp is some of the reason bike shops have a problem now. The mail order has really screwed up everything, and so has your online buying. First off, if anyone doesn't like to touch something they're buying before they buy it, what are you thinking? Really? What are you thinking? And second off, it doesn't make any sense. Amazon doesn't make sense to me. Go to the store and buy something. Support.
I will make a counter argument to that in a second.
Go for it. I would love. I'm pretty much done with my whole point. Okay. So if you want to make a counter argument, go for it.
So,
whatever, go for it. Yeah.
So I was adamantly exactly the same way you are, until I've been trying to buy a bunch of stuff for doing this.
Okay.
Now,
well, that's where it's a little different too.
I started out at Best Buy. I need an audio cable and an HDMI switch. We don't stock audio cables of that type. We have 3.5 millimeter, like just a general aux cord. That's it. Person goes, you should just order it on Amazon. And I'm like, you freaking work here. So
Death of America right there, baby.
And then they're also like, well, we only have these HDMI switches. They're about twice as expensive as they are on Amazon. Don't buy it here.
That's not good.
And I'm like,
as a business, that's not good to have
like,
employees doing that.
One, if your manager knew you were doing that, you're probably going to get canned. Two, you're almost signing your own unemployment certificate as you do this stuff. Now, that was stop one in this day of trying to find this audio cable and HDMI switch. I was like, well, I know they're not going to have the switch, but maybe if I go to this bulbs and batteries place that sells audio cables, it's right on their description when you go there. Oh, no, we only have the aux cords that you can plug into your car. Okay, fully expected that. Then I'm thinking, well, it's basically a gaming headset conversion cable. I know they come in gaming headset boxes. They come with the headset. So if I go to GameStop, maybe they'll have it. People didn't know what I was talking about. I showed them in their box with a gaming headset. This cable. Oh, you're going to have to order that on Amazon. And I'm like, dude, come on. And then I go to like Office Max, I think it was, or Office Depot. I don't know which one. And they're like, they didn't have either. And the person's like, just order them on Amazon, man. If that's where you know to get it. And then they're going, that's what Radio Shack was really good for, but we don't have them anymore.
No shit. What happened to Radio Shack? This is a day and age of electronics. What did they do?
Poor marketing.
Something. I don't quite get that, because we all should be able to go to and build computers straight out of there.
They turned into a crappy toy store for bad RC stuff. And
I quit going years ago because I got out of electronics, to be honest with you. But you would think in this day and age that selling diodes and catheters and not catheters, capacitors. You can sell catheters too. There's a lot of people. I've seen those ads on TV.
But then after that, so that was stop 4 in this day of trying to find this. I'm like, all right, you know what? Lowe's sometimes has
Cables?
Well, I know they have the home audio equipment stuff, like cables and HDMI stuff. So I'm like, I'll see if they have what I need. And they didn't have this. They had like a switch that did about half of what I needed it to do. And they didn't have any audio cables. And I was like, what am I supposed to do now? And they go, buy it on Amazon. And I was like, you know what then? Forget it. I'm done with this. If I can't freaking get stuff I need locally, and you don't even want to tell me you can order it in, or match it at a fair price, then screw you. I shut down after that because, and I've tried since then to get more and more stuff. Everything that I try to buy, they don't have it.
Yeah.
And they can't get it. And you're like, but, okay, I can show you that it's available. This thing exists. Why can't you get it?
I can show it to you on Amazon. Why? Yeah.
Why can't you get it? I want to come here and I want to check it out before I buy it.
Yeah.
Because you know what I don't want? This box over here, right here, that isn't what I needed.
I had the same problem.
Can I use it? Probably.
I put a custom shower in my bathroom. Most people would like this. It has 5 shower heads in it, and a seat. But I wanted to be able to shut off all. It has a valve that was very expensive that will only go to 2 different heads, but I have 5, and I wanted to be able to shut them all off. Wouldn't you think? I went to a store called Case Kitchen and Bath Supply. Wouldn't you think I would be able to get a valve that turns the water off at the shower head? I could go to Lowe's and buy one that was made out of plastic. But I didn't want one made out of plastic. I want one made out of metal because I'm an ape. And I probably would break the plastic one.
Plus, are you building something to just fall apart?
4 plumbing supply stores I went to. 2 of them didn't even know what I was talking about. I ended up going home, and in 2 days, I had them from Amazon. Some things you can get from Amazon. When it comes to bicycle stuff, don't. Just don't. They don't deserve our money. There are other people within the industry, and I hate to do this, but Chad Powers is a force that people that might not even realize yet within the industry. He has one of the most complete freestyle BMX shops I've ever seen, to the point where when I walk into other shops that are really good, like even the Wheel Mill has a really good shop.
But they're not trying to be a shop.
Well, but Chad has more sprockets than the Wheel Mill has product.
Mm-hmm.
He can get you anything you want. Go to your bike shops. Talk to them. Some of them will even add vendors if you ask.
Like GrindWorks.
Yeah, yes. Go to your bike shops and ask them for GrindWorks, and they'll be like, what are you talking about? Show them. They don't know about a lot of bike shops don't know about some of these small companies that people like. Help promote these companies. And also help your bike shop. It's a person that actually tries to live and survive off the money that you want to spend anyways. You don't need to give Jeff Bezos money. He already has $193 billion.
Mm-hmm.
Give John Quartz your money, who just had a baby last week, cute little girl, and help him survive with his family, is my whole point. When you buy from a bike shop, I guarantee that they're trying to feed themselves, their kids. They might even be able to try to take care of their parents. You don't know what's going on. And that even comes to when you go to even Walmart. Don't go to the self-checkout. Make them employ people.
I hate self-checkout.
Don't use self-checkout. All that does is reinforce to the company that they don't need people. Where are you going to get a job if they don't need people?
And ask employees for help. Make it known that you need them around the store
and
helping
as an
you.
employee, would you please learn your goddamn job? I don't know how many times I've gone to Lowe's or Home Depot and asked someone in the department that they work a very simple question, and they don't know the answer, and it's sitting right there on the fucking shelf in front of them. Because after they leave out of them not knowing and me being frustrated, I find what I need 20, 30 minutes later. But if they had known their product and their job, just do a good job and be prideful. Who cares if you work at a gas station slinging candy bars? Be nice. Be prideful. Do a good job. Be prideful in yourself.
Also, who cares if you are the CEO of a company? Don't be a dick to the person that works at your gas station and works to clean your toilets for you at your company. We're all people.
Yes.
We're all working together to make all this work.
Yes. And I know there's a bunch of BMX guys that are out there that are employers. And I myself am an employer. Once I have my business built big enough, I'm hoping to employ at least 3 people. I am more excited about that than anything. That I'm going to be able to help 3 people survive in this world. That's an amazing thing to be able to do.
Well, and there's going to be respect that goes both ways in that, because you're going to respect them for showing up every day and doing your job that you ask them to do, and it's going to allow you to work on other parts of the business, and they're going to respect the fact that you rely on them and you trust them, and you need them there, and that you're going to have to treat them well enough that they don't want to leave, even though they could.
Yeah. And it's weird. And as an employee, don't expect everything. That's one thing that we've been taught in this country, is that we should expect things. Well, your employer expects things from you. They expect to make money from the point when you walk in the door to the point where you walk out the door. You have to prove that you're worth the money they're spending on you. And this is a lot of things that people forget in this now and day and age. They expect you to make them money. And this even comes out with if you want to be a professional bike rider. Andy and I were having this conversation just in the last 24 hours. What is a professional bike rider? A professional bike rider is someone who goes out and promotes a company so that that company makes money. That's the only job a professional bike rider has. They don't have to do tricks. They don't have to do anything. They have to move product. Adam LZ is the perfect example. He got a full signature bike set up through social media. If you don't think that company was thinking about how many people was going to see their name up, that's really what counts, is moving product.
And you can do it in a way that really bums people out. Like that was a transaction that no one was stoked on.
I hate Adam Ellis. That kid doesn't deserve a third of what he has. But he's a genius when it comes to what he did.
I'm gonna say he worked for it.
Well, he's worked, but
And
it's a weird.
You don't have to like him.
But
I
he's
don't.
kind of like
I don't know.
LeBron James.
I need to be clear here because I don't know him.
I don't know him either. He could be the most wonderful person in the world. We do not know that. We have not. Adam, come up and do the podcast with. Show us regular people more about you than that.
Yeah, not necessarily mine.
Do the
Just
smaller podcasts where people
make it known who you are,
what kind of person you are.
Because I look at him the same way as I look at Nigel.
Yeah,
I think, in my opinion, I would like to say exploiting BMX for their own personal gain by not necessarily being really all that great, but Nigel at one point was a pioneer in his own world. And I think he's kind of leveled off and knows that he can kind of go this way now and make money and market it. And you know what? From a business aspect, I get it. I appreciate that.
Nigel was a pretty poor kid too, wasn't he? If I remember right.
I don't know.
I think he was part of that Brakeless crew that was
probably. But they're
so. I have a lot of respect for guys like Nigel, and Austin Augie, which is it's a different kind of respect, because in real life you have to make money to survive. So you will make decisions in life so that you can. None of us know Nigel. I don't believe Andy knows Nigel. No. I do not either.
And that's why I was going to make that cover again.
I have not seen what Nigel's writing is at this point either. He could be doing stuff that is mind-boggling.
He's not. He's doing 180 bar spins in the street in slow-mo for a GoPro. But he's getting paid. And
is that what he's doing to get paid? What is Nigel doing for himself?
Yeah. No.
We all as bike riders, you go to the park and you pull out your best shit. But what do you do when you go home and you're doing it for yourself? Are you trying that 360 bar spin tail tap, tooth or ice, anything that you can't pull yet? That as a famous person who makes incredible amounts. I don't know how much money Nigel makes.
But let's be real
makes
here.
Really good money. Would you go and pull the trick that you can't pull, or would you go with your bread and butter?
If you can prolong your career and make as much or more by doing the same thing, just over here, kind of going down this other road, I would say there's inherently nothing wrong with it. I just don't like it personally, but I don't know him.
Talk about what is required when he goes on a photo shoot. A lot of people may not realize this, but he may go on any of those guys may go on a photo shoot, and the photographer may tell them what they're getting to do. Mm-hmm. Why? Because they're all getting paid by one person, and the photographer's in charge when you get to that level. When you have professional people, when you have photo shoots.
And the photographer owns
everything.
The photo or the clip or
so he may have only seen Nigel do a 180 bar off a fucking curve.
But he wants that 180 bar here.
Perfect.
And he wants it timed with this backdrop, and you're creating art.
So you become a prop.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, I would like to see what Nigel's doing when nobody's watching.
And I'm gonna again say, like, I don't necessarily have a problem with it. I don't really like what he's been doing, that he's been putting out, but that does not mean I don't like him. Because I don't know him.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that, like, I've actually had this discussion with a couple people on here in the past. And it was early episodes, so anyone listening may not know that. But I was asked why I don't like him, and I'm like, dude, I don't know him. I can't say I don't like someone.
Yeah.
There's tons of people that might be awesome people, might suck, but I don't know them. And I'd love to know them.
It's easy to hate when someone's doing better than you. It's harder to love when someone's doing better than you. Especially when it's something that you wish you could be. Because with it, this is something that I probably should talk about. Within what I'm doing, there are huge amounts of jealousy of guys like Andrew. He can ride. At one point when I was riding, I was getting to the point where I didn't get to do them yet, but I was getting into handrails. We were jumping dirt, and I was thinking about backflips. That's pretty high level. All wiped away in a matter of seconds. You really need to think about things like that, too, when it comes to it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I'll say this, and this may be my quote that gets me. We're all just riding little 12-year-old kids' bikes, trying to have some fun. Even the guys that are eyeballs Ben Ward in the GT world, all we are doing is riding little kids' bikes. We haven't even graduated to the big boy wheels.
I don't know that I will. No,
I won't. I have a mountain bike. It sits at home in a pile. I ain't rode it in almost probably 20 years.
I'm going to say, same thing I was saying in Tommy's podcast, all bikes are cool. It's just that you have to develop the love for it. And
which one you like.
You have to find out how you can translate your passion over to it. Because I think I was talking about road bikes, and like, I can have fun on a mountain bike, limited time, but I can have fun on it. I have not found that fun in going out and riding just down the street. It just doesn't do it for me. And
if I rode a road bike, it wouldn't look like a normal person's road bike because it would have big, heavy rims so that I could case things because I would be bunny hopping. I got a mountain bike, the first one. It was a cheaper one. Day and a half it lasted. I destroyed the bike in a day and a half. That's some of the reason I don't have a mountain bike. Because I need a $10,000 mountain bike.
I need probably at least a $2,000 to $4,000 bike.
Just
I don't need high end because I'm not riding mountain biking at a high level. But the stock bike that I bought was a mistake, and I knew it.
Yeah. So. Yeah.
Keep getting like weird errors, but it's not actually with the recording. It's like an associated app, but it keeps popping up and like failing on me, and I'm like, wait. We are at 10 of 12.
We should shut this thing down. I have to drive back 7 hours to home today.
Yeah. So. And I mean, the only thing we left to talk about was farming a little bit more. And
I think I've pretty much covered everything I would like to cover with farming because I don't want to beat people up with farming. And as everyone saw, I get a little emotional.
Yeah, and I think there's maybe one thing to bring up about it, and it's you were starting to transition it to bikes and like shops and people, all these people dipping in before the consumer sees it. And you and I were talking about milk.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about this for a minute.
Okay. I'd love to talk about milk.
Because as a farmer, you're milking the cow. One, you're feeding cows.
Okay.
And now,
I don't mean to interrupt you, but I can
go for it.
I can probably break this down what Andy's trying to shoot for. Right now, it costs you $4 for a gallon of milk, roughly.
How many people touched in between?
It costs me $3.79 for a gallon of fuel. When we were milking cows, we went through 10,000 gallons of fuel in 6 months. I know there's quite a few dudes out here just like Andy's doing over there that are starting to do some math.
Well, I want to just throw those numbers right now.
When
6,000 you said
Yep.
times 379.
Okay.
Okay, that's $22,740 in
A
fuel
year
a
just
year.
for fuel. Okay. Farmers don't get paid by the gallon. Farmers get paid by the hundredweight. The reason is when you put milk on a truck, you have to know what the truck weighs to keep it legal. So it changes. So legitimately, when we would milk into our milk tank, we would have to measure the milk, and we had a chart that they would come in and they would calibrate the tank to tell you how many gallons were in the tank, to how many inches were in the tank, to how many pounds it equaled. So that's how it works out, okay? People are going to have to look this up because I don't know how much milk weighs, and a lot of people don't know this, but all liquid weighs different due to the fact of the minerals and everything, even water.
Density.
Water, 2 different types of water will weigh different. But we were getting paid when I quit $15 a hundredweight. Even if you use, I think the weight of water is 8 pounds a gallon. I think you can look all this stuff up. When you start pushing the numbers, you lose money. You can legitimately lose money. Because on top of that fuel bill, we were paying close to $60,000 a year for grain.
8.6 pounds per gallon.
For water?
Milk.
For milk, okay. So Andy's going to do some math for us to help us understand more of these numbers. So we got $50,000 a year for grain. And what we were getting paid was $15 a hundredweight.
Okay, and that's 100 gallons? Is that what that is?
100 pounds.
Okay.
That's why you have to do the math on the weight to gallon ratio, because this is kind of where it's screwed up. The only people in the middle that make money in the dairy industry are the ones that take the milk from the farmers and process it into milk, cheese, any dairy product.
How many gallons did you produce a year?
I can't tell you that number. And it's been 7 years since we milked cows. I think with the numbers that I've just given you,
but it shows the huge disconnect.
That's my point. Is when even if you figure out how much it costs for me for a gallon of milk with those numbers, it gets a little crazy. I'm hoping Andy throws me some numbers that'll help with this. Like how much it actually costs, how much they actually pay me for a gallon of milk. Can you do that? Are you doing that?
Well, yeah, if they're paying you 15 per 100 pounds, they're giving you 15 cents a gallon.
Where is the $4 price coming from? As a farmer is my question. When we worked for the company that we shipped to for 35 years, I worked for that company.
Okay.
All of the children for that company drove Mercedes cars. And this was in 1992.
So to pay for your fuel and grain to do that and selling at that
Stare
price,
at the camera because I know the numbers are horrible because I've run these numbers.
You need to sell 484,934 gallons of milk a year just to pay for the fuel and grain. That doesn't pay you. That doesn't make profit. It doesn't pay maintenance on equipment and anything like that.
You want to know what maintenance was for equipment?
Are you talking general, like
Just
preventative maintenance?
No.
Not something actually broke and you got to
broken
repair
shit.
it?
We were averaging $30,000 a year. General.
Okay,
maintenance.
so practically multiply that number by 1.5. And that's how many gallons of milk you need to be selling if you were only selling milk. But milk is a net loss for a farmer, right? I mean, that's the point.
Yeah, not loss. There is not a dairy farmer in this country making money.
And so it's subsidized by the government, but it's not subsidized enough.
Subsidized by the government, and this is something people may not realize. The banking industry. The banking industry owns the food that is being produced in this country. Because if it wasn't for farmers going and borrowing money every year, at this time of the year, every farmer in this country is going and talking to their banker to see how much money they can borrow to even get their crop in the ground. To make it so that they can feed you your cornflakes, your strawberries, your blueberries, your tomatoes. Farmers are going to the bank before they even put a crop in the ground every year so that they can feed you. I'm hoping that you have seen how vehement earlier I got in the podcast about all this and emotion-wise. I really hope that, Andy, I'm happy you brought this all up because I think it will help you understand why.
Well, and I think, and maybe you can refute this because maybe there's something I don't know.
Okay.
But the same as ordering from Amazon, if you have, and most everywhere does, have a local farmer's market that you can go buy your gallon of milk directly from the farmer.
And this is something a lot of...
You can pay them $4 a gallon rather than 15 cents.
Yeah, and if you find a farmer that is actually bottling his milk and he's charging more than the store, please remember that he is actually charging what it costs to make the milk. We talked to our producer at one time, and that's what they're called. They're called the producers. That's the guys that take your milk in.
And pasteurize it and bottle it, right?
Yeah, all they are doing is repackaging a product. Legitimately, they're called the producers. We talked to them, and they told us flat out that they could buy milk coming out of Canada cheaper than they could come to my farm and pick it up. How can a farmer compete with that? This is not a fact, but I would almost guarantee it that an incredible amount of milk is not even produced in this country. When you look at your milk, people really need to look at what the label says. There's a thing called ultra pasteurized, where they take the milk and they burn it down to pretty much powdered milk, and then they reconstitute it, which allows them, if you ever buy a milk product that hasn't been refrigerated, it is ultra pasteurized. Most of, and this is going to be a horrible thing to say, because my sister is involved with the organic industry, and our farm is actually an organic farm. We have not used chemicals in, I would say, close to 15 years on our farm. Because of the organic world, we were thinking about transitioning our farm to organic, and we realized that the costs were going to be too much. All of your milk that you're drinking organic nowadays, I would say 90% of it is ultra pasteurized. If you drink milk and it tastes like chalk, it is ultra pasteurized. Please teach your children that that is not milk, that it is a reconstituted beverage. Just as the same as your apple juices that you buy that don't taste like an apple. They kind of taste like an apple, but they don't taste like cider, which is a true apple juice. It's the same in the milk industry. And please, no one buy Coca-Cola milk products. There is absolutely no milk in their product. From what I understand, they don't even buy milk on the open market. No one really understands what that shit is.
Allegedly. We
Allegedly.
don't know because
I
you
don't
don't
know
want
what
to
it is.
eat.
And if I'm a farmer that made milk and don't know what that product is, I wouldn't put it in my body.
So yeah, anyway,
Milk?
You also talked about, not on the show yet, but you talked about beef.
Yes.
And we were talking about
Yes.
it because we were talking about
well,
the weirdness in country of origin. So I'm going to preface this quick too.
Yeah,
with
that's a fun one, country of origin.
Country of origin and made in the USA. If you purchase tires, wheels, a motor, a body, leather for seats, blah, 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 all that from China, and you assemble it in the U.S. under U.S. law, and I think international recognition on this, but if you assemble that here and it changes function, that's a key. So a wheel and a tire and a seat and all this stuff becomes a car, that car is made in the USA, and the country of origin is USA, even though nothing in it is from the USA. So a lot of that comes down to the cost of assembly in the U.S. overriding all the other costs of everything else that was made, up to like 50%. But it's also about the changing function. So with that said, let's talk about your food.
Haha. I'm gonna jump out of dairy in the my world, and we're gonna jump into fruit. I have a friend that works and runs and manages a cranberry farm, not 15 miles from my house. It's one of the few cranberry farms, I think, in the Northeast. I don't know much about cranberries, I'll be honest. But this is a very special situation. A local farmer decided they wanted to grow cranberries, found the spot that they could do it. And here at our place, they don't float the cranberries like everyone has seen in the ocean spray videos. Here, this company has come in and they invented a machine that actually picks, cranberries only grow about this tall, maybe 8 inches tall. They're a very short plant. And the reason they float them is the berries themselves float up. And they have a machine that comes in and knocks the berries off. The berries all float up to the top of the water, and then they suck them out. Well, with this place, they have a machine that comes down with tiny fingers, and they have, I think it's about this long. It's been a few years since I've seen the machine. And every time I go, they have a new machine that they actually have engineers like Andy himself back in Canada. This is where it's going to get a little funny. This machine is not from America. After the local guys started the cranberry farm, they went belly up. A Canadian company, the largest Canadian producer of cranberries, came down and bought this farm. I want to say this farm is less than 100 acres. When they bought this farm, it allowed them to take the berries from America, ship them to Canada, process them, mix them with Canadian cranberry juice, and ship it back to America. This is where everyone's going to throw up. It is labeled Country of Origin America and Made in America. The same as what Andy said about cars. But Canada has different rules on food. Do you know what Canada's rules on food are? I don't. The same.
I would like to think that they're probably pretty reasonable and fair. And
we're going to switch to South America now.
But
we're
yes,
switch
it
up
goes
to grains.
elsewhere.
We're going to go to grains such as corn, oats, rye, canola oil, and we're going to go to Brazil for the moment. I'm going to tell you about a field in Brazil that in the spring they buy equipment. And not just like one or two. They will buy, I think they buy 15 to 20 combines. And a combine, the machine itself is $500,000. Okay? The head that goes on the front of it, just to pick the crop up to put in the machine, is over $100,000. That is the machine that just picks up, we're going to say canola oil because I know nothing about canola oil, so we're going to run with it. Picks up the canola seed and puts it in a tank so that you can haul it to the processing plant. Okay, that's what I say, 600,000 roughly. They bought 20 of those. That's how wide the field is. Okay, all of the equipment, including their tillage equipment, which is big 600 horse tractors, which most people are like, oh, my car is 600 horse. Your car is not 600 horse. Your car might be 150 horse legitimately, because when a tractor gets tested, and you can look this up, it's called the Nebraska test. It happened back in the 30s. People were manufacturing tractors and they were false advertising them. And they wouldn't do what they wanted. So I can't remember who, there was a senator that bought a tractor and it was junk. And he was from Nebraska. And he set up with, I can't remember the college, but every tractor over 100 horsepower now in America has to go to the Nebraska test and be tested. When they test a tractor, they test it with ground friction, and then most people don't realize there's a shaft that comes out of the back of the tractor called a power takeoff. That allows you to run the tools that you drag with a tractor.
Commonly referred to as just PTO.
PTO. They also have them in dump trucks. That's what also makes the dump truck pick up and dump. When they do a tractor test, they put whatever weight they need to do to make the tires spin on the tractor. So if you have a 600 horse tractor, to get that tractor designated, the tires have to spin and the tractor has to be running at full bore with the PTO drawing power. That is a true horsepower. That is how you measure true horsepower. Putting a car on a dyno is close. I'm going to put your 700 horsepower Hellcat up against my 150 horse tractor any fucking day, and I will drag you around like a wet noodle. It's not the same. I have a tractor at home right now that is 120 horse. It's a 4-cylinder. The motor is this big. It would fit in a Dodge Omni. Pistons like this. She's a nice tractor. Super fuel efficient. But if you put that in a car, it's not going to be horsepower. Okay, so back to Brazil. Now that we've told kids what real true horsepower is, Brazil. So they probably, at the beginning of the season, have, I would say, $30 or $40 million worth of equipment. It starts at one end of the field. At the end of the season, they pull the tractor out of the other end of the field and sell it because they've put enough hours on them that they don't want to use them for another year. From what I understand, this field is 80 miles long. Legitimately, they start tilling, they plant, they spray, and
Well, you're
and
talking...
then they start combining. And before the first tractor hits the other end of the field, they're pulling product out of that end of the field at the start. That's how big the field is. Brazil
you're talking
doesn't
about
have the same
the combine equipment too. You're not even talking about like
when
the
it
seeders
comes to-
and all the seed
when it comes to
meters
that
and all that
$30
stuff.
million worth of equipment. You're talking seeders, tillage equipment to break the ground, spraying equipment. And also we're going to talk about spraying. We all know what the EPA is in this country. They are the ones that control the chemicals and whatnot about us. Brazil may have one now, but we all know what Agent Orange is, and we all know how it was outlawed in this country. What people really don't know is when Agent Orange got kicked out of this country, they shipped it all to South America. And guess what? I'm pretty sure they're still using Agent Orange in South America. When it comes to country of origin on food, there's a reason no one wants country of origin put on food. The reason is people would know that almost 90% of the food from this country is not produced here. It sounds crazy, but it's not. The reason you have bananas in Walmart all year round is because they are not made here. You can't grow them here. The same with pineapples. You know, if you want to hear something crazy, if you're over 30 years old, talk to your parents about what was available and how when they were a kid, you only got strawberries in the spring because that's when they were cropped. You didn't get strawberries in February. Where are those strawberries coming from that the weather is allowing them to be made? Not in America. Most of our fruit in America comes from South America, where I just not less than 5 minutes ago told you there are no rules for pesticides.
And it was 1973 when Agent Orange stockpile was presumably sent all to South America.
As this is not lies. Sam does not like to lie.
From jstor.org.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is yet, but
please, there's a few things you can glean from this, and the word glean means to clean and preserve. If you can glean from this, learn where your food comes from. And if there's a guy on the side of the road selling some tomatoes, please stop and pay him whatever he wants for those tomatoes. Why? Because you can say they came from down the street. We have a local farmer that lives less than 2 miles from me that just started bottling his own milk. He doesn't do the same things as the big producers, though. All he does is pasteurize his milk, which is something that people don't realize. All pasteurizing does is heat up the milk to a certain temperature to kill the bacteria in the milk so that it can sit on the shelf longer. It has nothing to do with cleanliness of milk. It is all about shelf life, so that the producers can buy it today and sell it to you. I think when I got hired, I went to work for the producer that made our milk, and it was back in 1993. They were pushing for a 17-day shelf life. As a child, we had milk. I never bought milk until we sold our milk cows. And then I learned what nasty, disgusting milk tastes like. So I was legitimately born and raised and never sick one day from drinking unpasteurized raw milk. It is an absolute myth that you can get sick from raw, unpasteurized milk. It's also a myth that there are any kind of unnatural steroids in milk. Any milk that says it is RSTB free is the most bullshit thing in the world. And some people will understand what BST is what it's called. BST is a steroid. It is a natural steroid made by cows and humans. I'm pretty sure you can, if you wouldn't mind looking that one up for me.
What is it?
Hey Jamie, look that up for me. I've always wanted to say that.
What is it?
RBST.
RBST.
The main thing is the BST. I don't know if humans make it, but what it is
It's a recombinant bovine growth hormone. It's
right.
It's a synthetic man-made hormone that gets sent.
But dig into it a little further, because this is where it gets weird.
BST is the natural form of this hormone in cattle.
Okay.
So the recombinant is the
synthetic.
catch. So you got to watch for the R, right?
No, this is where it's going to get a little weird for everyone. There is no test in the world for RBST because it is a naturally occurring thing in the cow. They legitimately can't test it. My father, 30 years ago, was asked by the producers to sign a piece of paper that said he would not use BST on his cows. In my lifetime, no one came to the farm to look to see if there was any bottles of BST or RBST at our farm. It was all done on the honor system. We had a neighbor farm that was using RSBST. I can't remember. Going into the same milk tank storage container as mine. Going into the same milk that was labeled RBST free. Why did they do that? What it does is it actually makes the cows produce more milk longer, if I'm right, Andy?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what that is.
From a guy, I didn't go to college for farming.
I'm only skimming here too and trying to also read.
I'm not a highly educated man. I've only been. This is just what I've learned over my years. So,
cows that are treated with that are more prone to developing infections in their udders, and then these cows are treated with a ton of antibiotics, which is where it kind of spirals. So the growth hormone in and of itself would not matter one bit. It's all the other stuff that gets dumped into
Here's another thing. Milk cannot have any kind of antibiotic in it by federal law. To the point where my father owned a tester at the farm so we could test individual cows if we gave them antibiotics. Because if they had antibiotics and we put it in our milk test, when they got it back to the producer and found out that the whole big truckload had antibiotics, they open the valve and dump it on the ground. That is what happens when there's any antibiotics in American-made milk. It goes on the ground. It does not go into production anywhere. There is no possible way in America you can get antibiotics in milk. Do not believe that. Because the farmer is the first one making sure that his profit is not ruined. Because guess who pays for that giant tank of milk? The farmer. It doesn't just get dumped and oops. The farmer has to have insurance for that in case that happens.
I'm sure it's cheap to buy that insurance too.
No. Not at all.
Hey, fun fact, not to poke conspiracy stuff.
What do we got? I love conspiracies. We didn't even dig into my conspiracies. We're all fucking aliens.
Who manufactured Agent Orange? Monsanto.
Oh yeah. Oh, Monsanto.
If we even want to.
Oh my Lord. Let's not talk about Monsanto. Because Monsanto owns your DNA, and you may not even realize it. They own the DNA to all of the food that is produced in this country. Monsanto has taken and sued farmers for taking seed that was never even owned by Monsanto. Because this is something that people don't realize. Back in the 50s, farmers used to put crops in, and they would put extra in so that they could take the seeds and use it for next year's crop. Monsanto made that illegal. Illegal. You cannot produce seeds in America. You need to, if you do, you have to know what the genetics are, because Monsanto, through our patent laws, has patented the genetics of our plants. There is a reason people hate Monsanto. And Monsanto's not around anymore. Monsanto got bought by the Bayer Company, which is the one that produces 90% of the medicine that we use in this country. They were also the ones that invented heroin. Bayer Industries invented heroin. Before they invented heroin, there was only opium. Okay? We are in Afghanistan because of opium plants and the fact that the Taliban, this is where it's going to get fun, people. The Taliban wanted the farmers to plant corn instead of opium. All right? I had friends that were in the military when we first went to Afghanistan. They were not looking for Osama bin Laden. They were guarding opium fields. You can't grow opium in America. Where is all of the opium coming from to make heroin that is making our heroin problem in America? Who is importing that heroin? It is not coming in people's assholes. It is coming in cargo planes owned by someone. Welcome to the conspiracy theories.
Let's save that for round 2.
Dude, Sam is going to be back because Sam is a pretty interesting guy.
Let's do this. Let's say
we're going to have to do another one.
You can talk to Sam about anything that you want to talk to Sam about at any upcoming event.
Yeah.
Or on Instagram.
I love conspiracies. And I will listen. I went to one of the recent events I went to one of the World Championships for FBM. And I'm pretty sure the fellow that if he watches this, that talked to me for an hour and a half about religion. I spent an hour and a half listening to a fellow about religion to the point where he didn't have anything else to say. That was amazing in itself. After he got done, he thanked me for listening. And you know what we had after that? Another hour conversation about religion. And as you already heard from me say that we're all aliens, I truly believe that if you dig into the history of the world, there is something that happened genetically with us to make us so much different than anything else in this world. And the scientists are starting to figure out what it was. Back to the religious thing.
And to just talk to you everywhere.
Yeah, talk to me, baby. Sam will listen. Be careful. I have very hard opinions. And I also get excited. I don't know if you've noticed in this podcast, I get emotional. And I also get excited where my voice raises to where you think I'm yelling at you. I don't know if I've done that with Andy yet. But John Quartz has noticed it, because John Quartz and I are a lot alike. Because if you heard us having a conversation, you would think we were screaming at each other. No, it's just a conversation. So if I get a little excited, bear with me. I'm an excitable person. I get very emotional. And I feel. That's something a lot of people nowadays don't do. I feel. I feel for people. I have great emotions towards people. His little boy coming in. I love that. You have no clue how much I love that. So, yeah, come talk to me. If you want to talk something crazy, I love crazy. Let's talk chemtrails. Let's talk the Book of Enoch. Let's talk about stuff you might not even know about. Let's talk about the Rothschild banking system. Ooh, let's take
or even
and we'll have Andy come in, so I got Jamie to look shit up for us, so we're not stupid.
Bikes and farming.
Farming is what I do, man. But I spend since I broke my back, I spent a lot of time I like to educate myself, and I don't think I'm a religious person, really. But if you want to talk about religion, I'm fully into that. I will talk about most anything, except for country music. I don't like country. Except for Hank the Third. I like Hank the Third. Talks about doing cocaine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get down with certain. See, any music for me is it just
Wheeler
depends
Walker
on
the Third.
who.
If you kids ain't out there heard Wheeler Walker the Third, oh my God, he's the best.
It's pretty entertaining.
Him and Little Dicky. I love Little Dicky too.
Yeah, so I think it's 12:30. You were trying to get out of here by 11.
By 11.
But we didn't start till 10:30. So
yeah.
I
I just want to get home today. To be honest with you, and I'd like to do it fairly okay. But no, so I think we're good for today.
Yeah. Hopefully that wasn't too off in left field for you. I know that we did have a lot of BMX talk and whatnot at the beginning, but
I'm not a BMX guy.
Farming is a big part of Sam's life, if not Sam's life.
It is my life.
So it's important, but there's also some stuff that everyone can learn from it. So if you stuck around, I appreciate it.
Me too.
And check out Sam on Instagram at Sam_from_Mexico.
And if you have an event, send me the dates. I may not be able to come, but the more people that send me dates, I will help promote them. I will do whatever I think I can to help. And yeah, invite me to your events. I would love to be there. Yeah, and maybe at some point you may see something about Sam having a road crew, because I'm trying to figure out something about a road crew, because when I hit the road, I'm finding that at least on the East Coast with the road trips, a lot of the same dudes are traveling. I'm gonna say hi to Stone on Richmond, because he travels a lot. Eric Holiday is a road warrior. Ben, our guy Ben that I've talked to, he's a hardcore road warrior. I didn't even know where he was from. But he was everywhere I've been, from Rye Airfield to Richmond to Posh to God out here, everywhere.
Yeah.
So, but if you're on the East Coast, send me a note. I haven't got to the Midwest yet because it's such a long trip. But if you got a place for me to stay, that makes it a lot easier. And as a farmer, I don't have a lot of money. So most of my trips are really on the shoestring. But I'd love to help promote your stuff. But I'm not promoting companies. I'm not going to promote a company unless it's a company I fully feel with. And right now, there's only 2 companies I think I would like to promote, and I think that's pretty much
I think you've already done them pretty well.
GrindWorks and Work. John Quartz, J
Quartz Metalworks.
J Quartz Metalworks on Instagram. That is FBM's welder. If you want an FBM bicycle, call John Quartz. He knows how to build all of them, and he is willing to work with you to build whatever you would like.
Yeah, if you like the frame you're riding right now, you tell him what geometry you want,
if you're riding
and you'll be riding the same bike.
He will build you a Steadfast. It's not going to have FBM stickers on it, but she'll be the same. So, yeah. And Powers. Find Chad Powers, because we may have talked about the freestyle end of Chad Powers, but we also didn't talk about the 30-foot trailer that he takes to almost all of the nationals on the east side of the fucking Mississippi. If you go to a nationals, please buy parts from Chad Powers. He loves BMX. And go see his museum. We already promoted one museum that was more of an all-around bike museum. Chad specializes in 20-inch freestyle and race bikes. And if you think that there is a 20-inch or a race bike that you haven't seen in a long time and you'd like to see in person and touch, he probably has it. Because he got my collection, and it was good. And every time I'm in there, he's getting more stuff. So go to Powers and go to Powers Pre-Owned, because they just started a new thing where he's selling used parts, new school, old school, mid school,
Selling and buying.
And buying. I think he is buying. I'm not too sure if he's buying.
They are buying.
Are they buying? Okay.
I know Tim that's been running that for him.
Yeah, yeah. Go buy some parts for Tim so he has a job, because Tim's a pretty cool dude. I hung out with him when he first moved to Richmond. He moved from, what was it, Oklahoma or some shit?
St. Louis.
Yeah, he
Missouri.
moved from St. Louis to run Chad's used parts business. That's why he went there. If you need used parts, go there. They're not expensive. I'm really impressed by how good his prices are. There we go. I don't think there's anybody else I need to promote.
No, and I think the way that they're running the buying is that if you send them pictures of what you've got, hopefully I'm not putting words in their mouth, but I'm pretty sure you send pictures of what you got, you'll negotiate a price, you'll ship it to them, and once they receive it and inspect it, verify it's as good as you said it was, they PayPal you your money right then.
Yeah. Chad's a very, very fair person. I gave him my bicycle collection of close to 30 years worth of bicycle collection. It was 3 trips from my house to Richmond with my car full. The first trip had 14 complete frame and forks. Don't be afraid to donate to his museum. If you have something that you want, that you've been thinking that you wanted to save, so that other people would be able to see it, if you send it to Chad, he will put it up so they can see it. And if you send him a little backstory, he's working on buying a building, last I talked to him, so that he can put in his full museum and actually have it like a real museum, because he has complete jerseys, kind of like Trey Jones does. Chad doesn't quite promote his personal collection as well as Trey Jones does, but he's building a museum. He's gonna build a museum, and when he does, everyone's gonna be amazed, because he has so much BMX history in his shop. Yeah.
I think we're pretty much good.
That's it.
Once again, at Sam_from Mexico. Sorry, that was wrong. At Sam_from Mexico, and at my Honda Element to check out Sam's sweet rig.
Yeah.
And then also make sure that if you've made it this far, like the video on YouTube, write a review on the podcast if you're listening on Spotify, Apple, Google, whatever. Subscribe to the channel, subscribe to the podcast, and then follow and interact, message me, whatever, comment, like stuff on Instagram, Twitter is, both of those are at GrindWorks_BMX. You can send me things on Snapchat, even though I probably don't want what you're going to send me on Snapchat at GrindWorks_BMX. And then follow, like, the Facebook is where we post the event pages for the jams coming up. So at GrindWorks BMX with no underscore.
Now, I'm not trying to interrupt Andy, but Andy, would you be willing to put up other people's events on your website to help promote theirs?
I always do, especially if we're sponsoring the event. So reach out, hit me up. You know, even if I don't have product to send you, most likely I can send you stickers at the bare minimum. And if I'm sending you stickers, you know, I don't need like a huge logo. Just slap a little logo on there. Shout me out. I'll post your jam. I try to post anything that's semi-local and scene related, regardless of whether we were able to sponsor or not. But, you know, on that same note, I'm not promoting Joe Schmo's company that I've never met. That's kind of a thing that I need to draw a line somewhere.
Promoting things gets a little interesting. Hence, I'm not promoting people. No one gives me anything. Ever.
But I'll, you know, even if I'm not sponsoring and I don't really know you, if I'm going to your jam, I'm just going to throw it up anyway and be like, hey, we're going to be out here.
Yeah, when in doubt, talk to Andy.
Yeah, pretty well in charge. So, all right, I think we're gonna wrap on that. Hopefully, you guys are enjoying these. No one ever comments and says anything other than I have feedback from Sam, and I didn't fix it yet, but screw it. And I have feedback from a couple other people, but for the most part, it's silence, which means no one's either listening, which the numbers say is wrong, or
tell Andy to
or
like
you guys
it, would
think
ya?
it's perfect.
Tell Lex Luthor that he's doing a good job.
Who?
You. Lex Luthor.
I don't know who that is.
I don't know who that is at all. Ooh, $1 million?
Comment with the answer. Who is Lex Luthor? All right. Thanks. Have a good one. Appreciate the listen and the watch, or just hanging out and being a part of anything we do. Thanks.